So first of all, thank you. It is so wonderful to be with my fellow business owners and to talk about moving at the speed of innovation. I think innovation is so essential right now, both as a personal skill and as a business, as a competitive advantage. So we are going to dive into both. And we're going to cover a lot today in our time together, because I want you to have a toolbox of tangible things that you can actually apply immediately for yourself and for the people that you lead, your teams, your staff, even your customers and clients, and your marketplace. So we've got a lot to dig into. Now, in order to do this, we need to come to 3 agreements. So let me share with you what those are. The first one is, I need you to agree to have an open mind, which, given that you're even in the Cultivate Advisors family, I know you do. I'm going to share stories, everything from electronic sellers to restaurants. But I promise you that if you have an open mind and constantly ask yourself, how do I apply this to my world? You'll get a lot out of our time together. The second thing is, I need you to agree to engage with me. So we've got this chat bar that you are already blowing up. And if you see me looking to the side, by the way, I'm looking at the chat bar on my second screen. I want you to ask questions as we go. Here's the thing. If you have a question, chances are somebody else has it too. So not only are you asking and benefiting yourself, but you're benefiting all of us in this conference today. So ask away. We may be virtual, but we are absolutely all connected. And if you have an insight or an aha as we're talking through this stuff, please feel free to share it. Again, I think your brilliance is going to inspire the other people on this session as well. It's not just what I say, it's what you get out of it too. Now, I can't get to every question right away, but we are going to do a Q&A at the end, and Vince is going to grab those questions. So when you think it, put it in there. When you have that aha and insight, put it in there. People that engage, go all in, get so much out of the session. I'm going to give you my all, and I want the same in return from you. And the third one is, we need to give ourselves permission to innovate. Here's the thing. We tend to hold on to how we used to do things, what we used to know, what worked in the past. And as you and I both know, things have changed, and we've got to give ourselves permission to move forward. In fact, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a game to kind of highlight what I mean. We're going to play rock, paper, scissors, because here's the thing. This game really mimics the work and the life, the world as we're experiencing right now. So here's how we're going to play it. You all are going to play me by putting your answer in the chat bar. We're going to play best 2 out of 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, scissors, rock, whatever I do. And you're going to put in the chat bar which one you do, rock, scissor, paper, whatever it is. So all of you against me. Are you ready to play? Are we ready? Give me a yes in the chat bar so I know we're good to go. Awesome. Okay, here, ready? Best 2 out of 3, rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3. So I'm doing paper. What you got? All right, put in there. Yeah, nice, excellent. Okay, 1, 2, 3, scissors. I'm almost forecasting what I do. I feel like I need a better strategy. Here we go, ready? Last one, put it in there. 1, 2, 3. I'm doing rock. All right, I love it. Did anybody beat me? I just have to know. Let me ask you this. How many of you were able to just jump into this game, even though maybe you haven't played it for years? And why is rock, paper, scissors the way it is? Why does scissors beat paper? Why does paper beat rock? I've never understood that one, by the way. Why is it the way it is? Yeah, because that's the way we've always played it. It's so ingrained in us. And I think that really is like our daily habits, our patterns, how we approach our work, how we approach our customers. It's like we're playing rock, paper, scissors. But what happens, like it has in the past, recent 18 months, when everything changes and gets disrupted, and suddenly we've got to play it a new way. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to experience that right now. We're going to play rock, paper, scissors, best 2 out of 3, but this time we're playing opposite rules. Ready? Here's how it's going to play. So let me make sure I get this right. So this time, rock beats paper, paper beats scissors, and scissors beats rock. Best 2 out of 3, all of you against me. Here we go, ready? Rock. Scissors. Here we go, last one. Scissors again. See, did I throw anyone off on that one? My kids say I need to work on my game. All right, let me ask you a question. What did it feel like to play rock, paper, scissors in the opposite rules? Put that in the chat bar. What was it like to play rock, paper, scissors in the opposite rules? Yes, We're still getting the thing. People are still playing. Nice. It's taking a minute for them all to come in. I'm going to give it a second because I really want you to answer this. What is it like to play rock, paper, scissors in the opposite, right? It's weird. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. Didn't know who won. Right, exactly. Too much thinking to do, exciting, confusing, confronting. Oh, these are so good. Yes, it's all of those things. This is, let me kind of bring this full circle for you. I think I love this exercise because rock, paper, scissors and how we just played it is exactly what the world is that we're dealing with. It was one way and we knew one way of doing things and then things changed and we got to figure out a new way. And it's uncomfortable and it's weird and it's awkward. It's for us, for our teams. Here's the thing, that uncomfortable feeling is often us holding on to how we used to do things, what we knew to be right, to be the way it's done, and not pushing forward into the future. What we've got to get more comfortable doing is giving ourselves permission to let go of the old way, the old rock, paper, scissor, and get into the new way of doing it. So the 3 agreements I want us to make is to have an open mind, go far and wide, to engage with each other, which you guys are already killing it on that one, and give ourselves permission to let go of some of the things in the past and actually push forward and innovate into the future. So can we agree to all those? So just give me a couple yeses in the chat bar so I know that we're on the same page. Awesome. Okay, we're digging in. I want to cover 4 big things today that are going to help you move at the speed of innovation as a business owner and a leader in your marketplaces. Number 1, I'm going to start with you. We're going to dive into how you innovate and your innovation strengths. 2, because you can't do it alone, at least you don't want to do it alone, we have teams. So we're going to talk about how to build high-performing, high-value innovators in your teams so that all of you are moving forward faster. I want to talk about how to identify and overcome some of the company's internal resistors to change. This is where even though you need to change, your team might be giving you a little bit of resistance. I want to give you some insight into that, how to overcome it. And finally, I want to leave you with 2 innovation tools or really exercises that you can do as an owner and with your teams to turn chaos and certainty into opportunity and innovation, into your next path to success. But let's start with you so that you can be the owner and the leader your team needs, your customers need, and the marketplace needs. And the cool thing is it starts with an incredible thing between your ears, your mind, specifically your innovative mind. That ability to innovate, adapt, as Vince was saying in the beginning, to pivot. And one of you said in the chat bar, you had said we pivot every single day. That ability, if we can dial that up, we can get measurable results for ourselves and for our companies and for our clients and customers as well. So I want to give you a little bit of context into what's going on in here, because I think understanding your brain will actually help you unlock your innovative mind. So I used to think that being an innovator of any kind was for the select few, right? That cool person with a purple streak in their hair, they wore funky, clever t-shirts and cool glasses, or that you were kind of either born with it or you weren't. And like, great for you if you were and you had that magical mojo, but for the rest of us, oh well. Or I used to think that it was this left brain, right brain thing where either I was being super analytical, like I was very task-driven stuff, or I was being innovative and creative and like unleashing that. And that usually involved Legos and painting or something like that, but never the two shall meet. I also used to believe that in order to be innovative, you had to step outside your comfort zone and dare to be fearless, that there was one way to innovate. I probably got that from some cover of a magazine, some kiddo wearing a hoodie, right? And thought, oh, well, if that's what their morning routine looks like, that's what I should do to be innovative. And it never worked. So my 25 years of work and research and diving into the neuroscience and the behavioral psychology of it, I came to realize some incredible things that blew those assumptions out the door. So I'll share 3 key ones with you because I think these are going to make it easier and actually less stressful for you to be innovative, not just in point in time, but on demand and when you need it most. So the first one is, turns out in interviewing neuroscientists, I found out that we actually all have the structures for intelligence and innovation. We have both, and they're not super dependent on each other. They actually are distinct. So think of intelligence as deep groove superhighways, innovation, loosely connected side roads. So the second thing that I think is fascinating and relevant to you is that, the researchers used to believe that innovation came from a certain part of your brain. Turns out that's false. Innovation is actually a whole brain experience. It's all about connecting synapses across different parts of your brain, loosely connected side roads. And the third thing I discovered that I think is super important for us is that, researchers used to believe that your brain was done growing at age 25, which if you're like me and well into your 40s, right, you're kind of SOL. Turns out that's not true. Our brains have something called neuroplasticity. What that means is our brains continually have the ability to evolve, to grow, to change, and to adapt through our entire lifespan. And here's where it gets really fascinating. So our brains are not technically a muscle, but in this way it acts like one. So when you think about being innovative and this structure in our brain, the more we intentionally activate innovation, the more we look for different solutions, ways around that wall, the more we think differently, the stronger our innovative mind gets. The less, the weaker it gets. So if you're out there thinking to yourself, oh, Tamara, this sounds great, but I'm not the innovative one, or that's Susie down the hall, what you're really telling me is that that part of your brain just is a little bit weak. You haven't been to the gym of innovation in a while. That's all. So we all have the structures for innovation and intelligence. It's a whole brain experience. And we have the ability to strengthen that part of our brain no matter where we are on the scale of being an innovator to start with. And what my research uncovered is that being innovative is universal. We all do it. However, how we innovate, how we innovate is unique to each of us. And what my research found is there's actually 9 ways that we as humans innovate, 9 styles of innovation. And they're all very distinct and very powerful. And it's actually the combination of your top 2 power triggers, how to innovate the most, your wellspring of innovation, and the presence of a dormant trigger. So I wouldn't call it a weakness, but it's where you innovate the least. That comes together to create your unique everyday innovator style. And we all have one, and it looks different. Because like the thumbprint, no 2 brains are alike. It's unique to you. Now, I bet you're wondering, well, Tamara, what's my style here? I'm so glad you asked, because Cultivate Advisors was kind enough to purchase for everybody on this session access to our proprietary IQE, Innovation Quotient Assessment, that's going to tell you your unique style of innovation. We're going to drop the link in the chat bar towards the end, so hang tight. We want to take the guesswork out of this for you, but for now, I really want thinking about, as I'm talking about all this, how you approach challenges and opportunities, and how the people around you do that as well, because this is about bringing out the best in you as an owner, but also in the people who work for you, so that all of us dial up with the speed of innovation together. So hang tight for that, but know it's coming. For now, I want to share with you just a quick overview of the 9 so that you can start to think about how you can be more innovative in your day-to-day work and leading your companies, and how you can bring out and leverage all the innovation that's around you. So I'm going to start at the left and work my way around. And by the way, I'd love in the chat bar while I'm doing this, if one of them speaks to you or you're like, that's me, put it in the chat bar. Let's guess a little, and then you can see later if you were right or if it was maybe a little bit different than you thought. All right, collaboratives. If you're a collaborative, that's part of your power trigger. You're all about pulling disparate people and ideas and experiences together. Because of that, you add value by creating whole innovation, all different sides. Experiential. You're all about innovation in motion, in doing. Because of that, you bring rubber meets the road, tangible innovation to the table. Fluids. Fluids are all about turning that ambiguity and that mess. You actually take it and mold it into clarity. Because of that, you add value by bringing concise innovation to the table. Futuristic. You're all about taking today's problems and turning them into tomorrow's opportunities. So you're often 10 steps ahead. You think to the future. Because of that, you bring forward innovation to the table. Imaginatives, you're all about playing in the gaps. You're all about playing in the gaps. You're all about the novel. You're all about what hasn't existed yet. Because of that, you create novel innovation. The next one is inquisitive. So inquisitive, you're all about challenging assumptions, innovations in the questions, not the answers for you. You deep dive and pull back layers. You bring deep innovation, which adds tremendous value. Instinctual, a little bit more of a circuitous thinking path. So you're all about like A to L to X, back over to A. But because of that, you connect things in new and meaningful ways. You see patterns and insights. You bring and add value by bringing connective innovation. Risk taker, you're all about leaping when other people kind of get stuck. You're all about innovating in the uncomfortable, which is really exciting because then you bring bold innovation to the table. All right, tweaker is the final one. You're all about, things are never final. It's not like success versus failure. You're all about editing and adjusting and finding innovation in the small adjustments, the small edits. Because of that, you bring optimized innovation. So hopefully you can see by hearing all these that how we innovate is how we add value, how we stand out, it's important as owners that we understand how we innovate, because that's so that we can do our best work. And, everyone's looking to us, right? As the owners, we need the vision, where are we headed? Well, when we understand how we innovate, when we understand and then align our actions to it, we can not only ignite innovation in ourselves, but we can actually ripple it out across our teams too. So like I said, at the very end, we're going to post that link to just for this group. So I hope they all take advantage of that and discover that how you as an owner, how you innovate and how you can dial up your game and help yourself and your team navigate through change that we're facing. So when you understand it, right, you perform at your peak, you transform opportunities into obstacles, you lead strong through uncertainty and change. I just put this slide in here because I just wanted to remind everyone there's so many benefits to being an innovator. And oh, by the way, it also brings us joy and satisfaction, because innovation, when we tap that part of our brain, it actually taps our root centers as well. So we get satisfaction out of it too. I mean, we're humans. We want to add value. We want to solve those sticky things. So it does a lot for us. So I want to share a couple examples of people from our online academy who have allowed me to share their stories of how they've really dialed it up once they recognized how they innovate. This is Mia. She owns a PR and branding firm, and she's a risk taker experiential, so bold and tangible innovation. She has really helped her clients get out of old thinking paralysis, which a lot of people struggle with. That's not unique. It's hard, right? Things are changing, but she helps them get out of that and pursue new opportunities. She's become the go-to partner for her clients and doubled her revenues because of it, because now she's not even bidding against other people. They just go to her. It's so awesome. This is Kelly. Kelly is an employee at a company that has silos. And she, with her collaborative and tweaker side, broke down those silos and became a hub of innovation. What's exciting about that for the owner and for the rest of the team is that she's there helping all of them get unstuck. And now there's so much more innovation happening because everybody is innovating together and the silos are gone. So this is Jake. Jake runs a logistics firm, and he's an inquisitive instinctual. He turned information into insights. And by doing that, he's keeping the company ahead of change. As you can imagine, in a logistics company, he is inundated with data. They're constantly looking at reports, and he found that they were just kind of talking reports, data, and he needed insights that were going to help drive decisions, that help drive action. And he's done that by tapping the power of innovation. So I hope in seeing this that you can see how your everyday innovator style matters to you and your performance and dialing your game, but also in moving your company forward. I love all these kind of what you guys think you are. There's an instinctual here. I can't wait for you to actually find it, for me to see the reports coming in, because it really is exciting when you understand how you innovate. And in the report, just on the back page, there are some custom exercises that you can do specifically for your style so that you can start to unlock it, get into that state of flow more often. So, okay, now that we understand how we as owners can innovate simply by tapping into this incredible potential inside our brains, I want to talk about how we build teams of high-performing, high-value innovators. And here's the thing. Just give me a heck yes in the chat if you're here with me on this. As a business owner, I constantly ask myself, why can't I clone myself? Like, I need more me's running around. Like, I'm over here innovating and changing and pivoting, right? And I need everybody else to do that too. Well, at least not yet. We can't clone ourselves. And frankly, we don't want to. Diversity of thinking is actually important. I'm going to talk about that. But what we do want is to get the people that work for us to dial up their ability to innovate so that they can perform at a higher level and they can innovate with the work that's right in front of them as well. So I'm going to give you some insight and some tools into how to do that since we can't clone ourselves yet. When we tap, what our clients tell us is that when they tap the power of innovation across their teams, it's like a rising tide that lifts the company, lifts all boats, because everybody is playing at a higher level, performing at their peak, bringing more of those innovative solutions to the table, being stronger critical thinkers, problem solvers, bringing more inventive ideas to the table. That's what we want. And I want to share with you a quick video from a company that I've worked with over time that I think is a great example of this. I'm assuming you can hear it and tell me otherwise.
For myself, I'm a collaborative and a tweaker. And so I love having people together, creating a fun place to work. That's something that I get really passionate about. The tweaker was interesting for me because I think it relates to my evolution in the business. I don't know that I'm the startup guy that my dad was, but my dad had to start the company from scratch, tooth, claw, everything, and really build it up. And I just don't know if that's me. Where the tweaker is that person that wants to take something and just keep modifying. And so to take what he had already built and be able to just keep making those adjustments, keep modifying it, really resonated with me.
I like to know what's going on. I question everything, and I ask 10 questions after somebody tells me what to do because I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. I want to make sure I thoroughly understand, and I think this has really helped my team understand that I'm not trying to be a nuisance and that I'm generally curious, and that's just how my brain is wired, and it better helps me with executing projects. And I think after everyone realized that, we've better been able to work as a team. And since I'm high on collaborative too, they've been able to use my strengths and understand that, they're going to tell me to do something, and it's not just like, okay, I'm coming back with some more questions to make sure that I'm doing it properly and that I'm doing what they expect me to do.
We knew from my struggles being in this staffing administrative position that I'm a much more hands-on, create ideas and do new things. And so I've, futuristic really explains the way that my brain thinks, because it's sometimes usually running wild. I have too many thoughts, too many ideas going through my mind that sometimes it's hard to kind of settle down and figure I'm going to tackle first. That's where I bring in my collaborative side and bring in people to help me achieve these smaller goals in order to get to the big idea. I pretty much was able to create my own role, which is really great, and I think that Anthony from Tools was able to see that I was going to be capable of doing that, and yeah, it's totally different. I did a complete 180.
All right, let me get to the next slide. There we go. Okay. All right. So Anthony, who's the owner, is being humble. He says has helped him just kind of evolve the business. When he took over the business, he grew it from, I believe it was $2.5 million to $5 million. And in the catering world, right, that's a pretty big jump. A lot of them are kind of one-offs. But he's done an incredible job of that. And part of that is because he recognized how important it is to have everybody on his team dialing up their innovation and being leveraged in a way that is the best for them and for the company and moving them forward and for the clients that they serve. And he's done a phenomenal job also navigating through the past 18 months. As you imagine, they went through a lot of upheaval and a lot of change. Really, the rug got pulled out from under him. But he has done a brilliant job of leading them through that and coming out on the other side with a new path to success. So, I bring that video as I think they are an incredible example of when everybody recognizes how everybody innovates and that it's different and that that's good. That's when you start to see that incredible compounding value add up, and innovation becomes your competitive advantage, not just you as the owner or one or two of you being the innovators, but everybody innovating in the way that works for them in the work that they do. And I'm going to dig into that in a minute. I want to call out something I saw in the chat bar that I think is really cool. Somebody, and I apologize, I didn't get names, but somebody said, I want people like me. I want people who are different. And then there's a little bit of conversation on that. That is so incredible. And I'm so happy to hear that. Here's the thing. What I found is that businesses and ideas that come from birds of a feather, when everybody's thinking from the same perspective, the same vantage point, right? Those tend to die. But ideas and businesses that come from diverse sets of thinking, those tend to thrive. The ideas are way more battle tested. The work is way stronger. It's like storming a castle, right? You're doing it on all sides. So we want to tap the power of the diverse set of innovators on our teams. That's our greatest competitive advantage. And here's the thing that I've learned over time that I just want to share with you is how we innovate. It's unique to each of us. So we each add value in our own unique way. But how we add value also means that we probably cause a little bit of friction. So if you turn out to be one of the inquisitives out there as one of your power triggers, your questions may make other people feel like they're poking the bear. If you're a risk taker, people may feel that you're too impulsive or spontaneous. So we have a lot of resources for that. And I think with your report, you get a follow-up email with that in specific. But understanding how we add value in each other and the friction that's caused that comes out of it actually helps us all move forward together in a smarter way. Because that diversity of thinking is so powerful in the marketplace, especially in a competitive, complex, and let's face it, somewhat uncertain marketplace where we're constantly having to adapt and pivot. So we want our teams doing the same. The other thing with kind of creating high-performing teams is recognizing that innovation happens across your business, and each everyday innovator style shines in different places in the process. Now, we can all do a lot of things. We all have the ability to adapt, but different innovator styles really do highlight in different places. And the other reason I bring this up is I think there's this myth out there that innovation is only on the front end, right? It's in like the ideation, the brainstorms. What I've really come to realize over time is that innovation happens all across everything that we do. It's in the ideation, but it's also in the implementation if we allow it to be. And in fact, there's incredible room for innovation in the implementation side of it. And understanding those everyday innovator styles, again, helps us leverage each other in the best way and move forward together. All right, so now that we have tapped this hidden potential that's in our teams, we're innovating as business owners. We are doing what we do best. Our teams are doing what they do best. So I'll give you some really tangible tools to help dial it up and drive that innovation the minute you get off this incredible conference all day. You'll have so much goodness in today's conference. So the first one is, innovation is one of those funny things where, if I asked you your definition of innovation, I'd probably get 20 different answers just from this group alone. It's one of those things that we've never really defined and just assume everybody knows. But here's what happens. We as the owner, we say, hey, team, I need some innovative solutions to our challenge. And, Gail's over there going, yes, a dose of creativity. And Bobby's over here going, we need to go somewhere totally outside the box. Susie has no idea what you're talking about. And Jess is thinking, yes, something totally disruptive. Everybody's off and running. And here's what happens. It creates a lot of confusion. It creates delays because everybody's all over the place. And it creates hardship and challenge because the team doesn't really know what to do. Your people don't know what to do. So what I want to do just to get started, one of the biggest tools I can give you is I want to eliminate that frustration by giving you a definition of innovation that we've curated over time over here at Launch Street that we know helps our clients make innovation accessible and possible to everybody on their teams. And it's this: thinking differently about what's right in front of you to create an advantage. So thinking differently, a new way around that brick wall, a fresh perspective, a new idea, a new approach about what's in front of you, the work that you are responsible for, the challenges, the opportunity, the resources, the time, the energy, right? What's right in front of you to create an advantage, a smoother process, a new product, a better way to connect with clients, whatever it is. Thinking differently about what's right in front of you to create an advantage. And what clients tell us is that this definition allows them to have a springboard for innovation across everything that they do. Think differently about what's right in front of you to create an advantage. That's the first tool, is just setting the foundation for innovation so that you can move forward together as an owner and with the teams that you lead. So like I said, take a second, take a screenshot, and then give me a yes in the chat bar so I know you did it. What I want you to do is I want you to take this and then I want you to share it with your teams. I want you to go to them, whoever works for you, and I want you to say, hey, We are going to drive innovation because we got to pivot, we got to adapt, right? Whether times are uncertain or certain, we should be doing that. So here's what we are going to do. This is how we are going to approach innovation as a company. Okay, everybody's got it. Good, excellent, yes, nice. Oh, all caps, yes, love it. The second thing is, and this really springboards off of that, is I want you to think about making innovation a whole business sport, not a siloed exercise in change management or blue skies ideation. Siloed exercises in change management, A, never last. B, what ultimately happens is people look at it and go, oh, another initiative fatigue, right? That sets in. So we want to get it so that it's innovation across every little part of our business. We often think of innovation coming from R&D or from, a clever marketing campaign or new product development or disruptive technology. And that's all fine. But what I have found in my life is that innovation comes from all those other places in your business. And those can have an even bigger impact on the success of your company moving forward. Let me give you some of my favorite examples. Process innovation. So this is a team of electronic resellers. And one of the things that they need is they need a bunch of assets and data from their clients, and they constantly weren't getting them. So they constantly had delays and delays and delays. And they kept trying to figure out, well, how do we get people to respond to us? How do we get the stuff as we go? This was actually a workshop that I led with them. And the owner in the purple over here is an imaginative futuristic. And the team is all a diverse set of innovators. And it was so fascinating because one of them said, what if we change the problem we're solving? What if we reframed it and we said, how do we get everything we need up front before we even start working? That one question led to a whole brainstorm, which led to them innovating on the process that they do. This new process that they've created is saving them millions of dollars in time, in money, and resources, and is giving their clients a better experience. So this wasn't product, this wasn't clever marketing, this was a process innovation that made a huge difference. Okay, this is Paul English. And in fact, I just interviewed him, 2 days ago. So you're getting the skinny before this even goes public. He's one of the co-founders of Kayak, the travel aggregate site. I don't know if any of you have ever used it. He said to me in the podcast interview, he said, Tamara, here's the thing. We didn't innovate in the product. That kind of aggregating of all the sites already existed. He said, where we had a success in innovation was in customer interface. Instead of making it clunky, taking a long time, instead of there being a ton of data, we decided to innovate, do it differently, and streamline it. So where in your business can you innovate in those different places, in process, in customer interface? That gave him the competitive advantage that, by the way, led to him selling it for billions of dollars to Priceline. But that was customer-facing innovation. The next one is a workflow innovation. So Sally, who's one of our previous online academy members, so we have people who are business owners and we have people who are business leaders in companies. And she was saying that, in 2020, they all went to virtual and that's how they're going to be moving forward. But the challenge is it decreased productivity. So in an effort to be collaborative, they were constantly on meetings, and nobody was getting work done. Email inboxes were filling up all over the place. So people were connected, but no anything done. Productivity was down. Innovation was out the door. Things weren't happening. So she sat back and she said, wait a minute, I think we can innovate and do it differently. And she created these rotating office hours. So now, instead of the inbox being full and people pinging her all the time or pinging the team, and instead of them being on Zoom meetings they don't need to be on, they're in office hours at designated time. Everybody's getting what they need. Productivity is up, engagement is up, collaboration is actually up, not down, and innovation is all over the place. That is a workflow innovation, which, by the way, borrowed from the academia world, right? Like we used to have office hours with our professors. The last one I want to share with you is actually one of my favorites, is a customer need and inventory innovation. So there's a chain of restaurants here in Denver, Colorado, and I think there's about 4 or 5 of them now. And, they, of course, had to shut down in 2020, and they went to curbside and to go, just like all the other restaurants. One of their restaurants is embedded in a neighborhood that's all families. And so they sat back and they said, wait a minute, now that everybody's home and the kids are doing schooling at home, what is the new need that our customers have that they didn't have 6 months ago? What's that new need? And they realized, parents don't want to spend all their money on to go, but They don't want a hassle of their kids eating them out of house and home. I don't know about you, but I have two teenage boys. They have been eating me out of house and home for the last year. So what they did is they innovated against the new need of, hey, I want to increase my hassle, but I still want to kind of make stuff for my kids. Like I want it to be kind of healthy. And they created meal kits that you could then make lunch out of this box. And oh, by the way, and I know you see this, it's inventory innovation at the same time. Same ingredients, stuff, just packaged in a different way. So here's what I want you to do in the chat bar. Just off the top of your head, gut reaction, where in your business can you innovate in those places that maybe you least expected it? Not the R&D, not the innovate, not the marketing campaign. Where can you innovate in the places that you least expected it? Process, yes, process. Process is a big winner here. HR, oh my gosh, customer value, exactly. There are so many places to drive innovation across your entire business. Workflow, customer service, data validation. Oh, okay. This is great. I know you see this in the chat bar, culture, sales channels. I work with a lot of sales team. There's so much room for innovation in sales, especially when now your prospects are looking to you to be an innovator and a solution provider, not a vendor. This is so good. Do you see as you look in this chat bar how many places there are for innovation across the entire business? Innovation, big and small, across your entire business, that has compounding results. And it can lead to incredible success for you. And like I said, all those little things really add up. So you get people to be innovative, and then you give them the room to do it in the work that's right in front of them. That is true for you as well. I innovate on my schedule, my productivity all the time to be a better owner and to be able to navigate my business and move it forward. All right. So the next tool I want to give you is all about expectations and setting expectations. Oftentimes when we innovate, whether that's workflow, new product, new service, or customer interface, whatever it is, this is how we think it's going to go, right? It's like, woo, fist bump. This is all amazing. We made the decision. It's the right decision. It's just up from here. I think you and I both know that that's not the reality. The reality is when we elevate our game and innovate, it looks like this. It looks like a J curve. So we start all excited, it's game on, energy's there, people are behind it, there's buy-in, we've got some initial successes out of the gate, maybe even a big one, but then those challenges set in that we didn't think about, or the problems arise, or we have to double up our work as we make the changes just to have redundancy. Bottom, that's where the naysaying comes in. That's where the negatives start to come in. That's where the questioning and the doubting start to come in. That could be with you, or with the people that you lead as well. But that starts to really take over. Before we hit the acceleration, before we hit the success, getting the results out of it, sometimes we tend to jump ship. But here's what I found. This J curve is inevitable, right? We're going to start, we're going to have success, and then we're going to have some problems and some naysaying, and then we're going to push through, we're going to innovate, we're going to adapt, and we're going to see the results. The challenge is, oftentimes people jump ship at the bottom because they lose confidence in the direction they're headed. It's actually, on a side note, an incredible place to innovate. But here's what I want you to think about. This J curve and getting through to that other side is really a matter of expectations. So here's what I want you to do with your teams. I want you to go to them and I always say, hey, so we're making this change, right? We're pivoting from A to B, we're going to Z, whatever that is. And here's how it's going to look. It's going to look like a J curve. So what do we do when we get to the bottom and we start to have challenges we didn't know? What are we going to do when we start to doubt it? When we set the expectation that the J curve is coming, your teams and yourself as an owner are more likely to push through it and get to the other side. Move forward through the J curve. And like I said, incredible room to innovate here. All right, the next one is, here's the thing. We as business owners, we are looking at the outcomes. Did it bring any? Did it bring a new client? Did it make my team, my employees engaged? Did it help our bottom line? Did it hurt our bottom line? Like, we're always concerned about that stuff because that's our job. Here's the challenge. We sometimes make the mistake then building a culture where we are focused on the outcome and we are rewarding the outcome. But here's the thing. When we focus like that for our teams, especially when it comes to innovation, pivoting, and adapting, when we focus on the outcomes, we're actually creating a culture of Russian. It's either black or red. It's either cake on Friday because it worked, or it's the failure shelf and let's just pretend it never happened. Let's make it go away, right? So it's either cake on Friday or failure shelf. Let me ask you a question. Coming from your employee's perspective, if your own options are cake on Friday or the failure shelf, how likely are you to bring inventive ideas and new approaches forward? How likely are you to push around the brick wall or maybe try to think about the brick wall differently if it's just cake on Friday or the failure shelf? Not at all. Yeah, exactly, right? Not very likely. Right, exactly. Here's what I want you to think about. To elevate everybody's game, to get them all to be critical thinkers and to push forward and to actually give themselves permission to innovate, I want you to think about rewarding behaviors, not outcomes. Reward the behaviors that drive the outcomes you're looking for. I want you to think about picking 3 behaviors that would ignite innovation in yourself and in your staff, and then reward them constantly and consistently. When we reward behaviors, the innovation happens. When we reward outcomes, we actually shut down innovation. I've seen this time and time again. Let me give you a quick example. When I was running this innovation and brand strategy consulting firm, there were about 25 on my team, and I needed new ideas to solve this problem we had. We needed new service offerings so that we could keep customers longer. They were kind of coming, engaging, loving our work, but then moving on because we had nothing else to give them. So I put this challenge out to the team, and it was an open office space. And 2 or 3 people would hand me, they would hand me this at the end of the day. They'd hand me a couple sticky notes, right? And they'd go, here are my ideas. But I knew that I needed everybody's perspective to move forward. And I was getting so frustrated because I love the ideas from those 2 people. I wanted all 25 to engage. So one day, I went down to the Starbucks at the bottom of the building, and I got a bunch of gift cards. And I went up to the open office, and I probably sounded a little crazy because I was yelling, but I went to everybody and I said, hey, Mindy, I just want to say thank you for submitting your ideas. I don't even know what they said. I just want to reward you for being thoughtful, putting in the time, and submitting your ideas. Here's a gift card. Guess what happened by the end of the day? Yeah, I had ideas from everybody. I had to go buy a lot more gift cards. And I think it's not about the gift card or the dollar, but it is about recognition of the ideas, recognition that they're doing the behavior that we want more of. And sure enough, adding all those ideas gave me the solution that I needed to actually solve that problem that we had. So let me give you some small examples. So in my company at Launch Street, we reward constructive conflict. Debate is good. I can be a little bit declarative in how I speak. I did not use question marks. So I want to reward the people around me for disagreeing with me because I know that's going to drive innovation and that's important. I reward people for going above and beyond for clients. I reward them for helping each other when it doesn't actually serve them in their role. So think of behaviors that would ignite innovation in you and your staff and then reward them constantly and consistently. When you reward behaviors, not outcomes, you get to that innovation that you're looking for across everybody. So we've gained a deep understanding into you and your innovation strengths. We've built this team around us, and we've given you some really solid tools to actually dial up the culture of innovation and get them thinking differently. And now here's what I want to do is I want to cover the resistors that might come up. Because, in fact, one of my clients said it best to me. They have a credit union in the Midwest, and they said, Tamara, it's interesting. My team knows they need to change. They know they need to innovate, like we're inundated in it, yet I'm still finding resistance and holding on for dear life, old ways of doing things. So I want to share with you a little bit about what might be going on in your people's brains and yours when you are starting to feel that resistance. And by the way, you can feel it in yourself and you can feel it in those around you. And if you're client facing, you'll feel it in them too. And I want to give you some very easy ways to overcome that. All right, so the first one is, stress has put us all into fight, flight, or freeze. And we often think about these things as like these initial reactions to extreme moments, like, a dog jumping out of an alley. But the reality is, in the modern world that we live in, fight, flight, or freeze is happening all the time. And it shows up in these subtle ways at work. Now, as I'm going through these, I want you to put in the chat bar which one you think you default to. We all have a default, one that we automatically go to. Let me tell you what they look like. Fight is when people say like, it'll never work, but we can't. Here's all the things that could go wrong. That's the fight mode. Or flight, let's table this for later. Like I want to run away from this. Or I can't add my plate right now. Or sure, yeah, whatever you think. That's my favorite, because that means their eyes are rolling in the back of the head and they just don't want to deal with it. That's actually flight. Or freeze. I don't have anything to add. Have any of you been there, or gobbledygook, when you're like, your brain turns into scramble and you're like, I've done the research, why can't I do this? Let's see what we got here. Freeze, fight, yeah. So mine is freeze. I will turn into mush right in front of people when I get there. But this is what you as the owner and your teams are dealing with every single day, is fight, flight, or freeze in these subtle ways. And it shows up in these places. I don't think we talk about this enough. We talk about fight, flight, or freeze in these extreme moments, but this is how it's showing up at work. So let me share with you why this happens and then how to overcome it. 3 things going on in your brain, in human brains, that are causing us to stay a little bit more in fight, flight, or freeze, especially in stressful times. You said you're both. Yeah, I'm all of them sometimes. But let me share the 3. So one is something called the RAS, reticular acting system. This I think of as a brick wall. And this brick wall's job is to push aside and ignore everything that doesn't already validate your existing beliefs. It's hard to innovate and get out of fight, flight, or freeze when all you want is to confirm what you think you already know. And as we know, we've got to innovate and push forward. The second one is the myelin effect. So myelin is like this fatty tissue across the channels in your brain, and it makes you hyper efficient. It's awesome, right? Picks up speed. The challenge is it can keep us stuck in tracks and repetitive thinking. I heard a quote once or a stat that said our thoughts are 96% repetitive as the day before. Well, that's myelin. It's trying to make us smooth and efficient. And the lizard brain. The lizard brain keeps you safe and comfortable, and that negative chatter in your brain. Do you know the one that's like, that'll never work. Your team is not moving fast enough. They'll never go for it. You're crazy to think that's possible, right? That's the lizard brain. Now, I want to tell you a little thing, and as part of how to overcome it is I've actually named my lizard brain. Actually, I'm jumping ahead. Let me get to that in a minute. So RAS, myelin effect, and lizard brain are keeping us from innovating, right? They're keeping us safe and comfortable, and they're keeping us from bringing in new thinking. So we've got to push ourselves and teams to get out of fight, flight, or freeze as our response to anything new and different, that's innovation, and get into new tracks of thinking and new places and get past our lizard brain. So to lead yourself, I want you to think about naming your lizard brain. Now, I know you might think I'm easy, but go with me. The research shows that when you name your lizard brain and kind of talk to it, that actually it doesn't become you thinking those things, it becomes your lizard brain and something that you can actually overcome. Mine is called Bernard. And sometimes Bernard and I have to have tough conversations when I get into fight, flight, or freeze. Question your lizard brain. Well, why do we feel that way, Bernard? Questioning your lizard brain will help you get to the truth of what's really going on for you. Like, oh, actually, I'm actually feeling a lot of resistance because Casey's really pushing me and challenging me, and that makes me feel irrelevant. So that's really what's going on here. Name it, question it, and take 3 breaths when you need to. We don't have to respond right away. We're always trying to have the solution, aren't we? Take 3 breaths. It takes 3 breaths for us to get out of stress and into our higher function. Now, when you're leading others, because when you're going to your team, you're saying, team, here we are, we're here, we need to go here, and whatever that is, but I'm still getting resistance. Here's what I want you to do with them. First of all, play devil's advocate. Hey, well, what if we didn't do that? Well, what if we did the opposite? Hey, just play with me for a second. What if we looked at this in a different way? Playing devil's advocate helps us get out of that lizard brain and jump those tracks. Number 2, ask what else could be true. I love this one because we get so stuck assuming that we know things are one way when they don't have to be. What else could be true? And my third and favorite one is when you feel yourself or you see the other people in the room getting resistance, instead of trying to go jump to solution or move forward, just stop and say, tell me more. When we ask people to tell us more, it gives them a chance to take a breath, really think about what they're saying. The conversation becomes deeper and more innovation happens. So my question to you is, what will you do to overcome your internal resistors to change, whether that's with yourself or with your organization? And if you have a name for your lizard brain already or want one, put it in the chat bar. But I'd like to know from this page, it's so important that we understand this, what are you going to do to move it forward, to get over those resistors? Willie, oh, I like it. Some good names happening, yes. Barbara, yeah, I love it. Okay, good. It really is powerful when you name your lizard brain. It takes it out of you as a human and into them. and into the lizard brain, and you can actually get over it. For your teams, just play devil's advocate. Ask what else could be true. Look at it a different way. This is how we get over those brick walls. But I wanted to bring this to you because I think as the owners, we often kind of get the yes for innovation, and then yet we feel the resistance and that it'll never work and all the fight, flight, or freeze takes over. This will help you get over that. All right. Wow, we've covered so much. I got one last thing I want to share with you. This is the top two innovation tools to turn chaos and uncertainty into your business and your next path to success. These are 2 tools that I've used over time with many clients to great success. I want to give you these tools so that you can then take them back and do them yourself and with the people that you lead, maybe even your clients, customers, so that you can really move the needle, move forward, and put all this innovation into action. And hey, here's the good news. Now that you're an everyday innovator, and you'll get your teams to be everyday innovator, these tools become easier to do. The resistance goes down and the results go up. All right, so let me share an example with you, because here's the thing. Questions in is answers out. So if we're asking the same questions and trying to solve the same problems over and over again, we're going to get to the same solutions over and over again. And how many times have we kind of looked for a new solution, but we keep going down the same path? So let me share a story with you of someone who I think did a brilliant job of asking a different question, which led to a different solution. So it's a little bit personal, but we've been together for a while and there's a lot of chat on, so I'm going to share it. So the other day I was running late from work and I had to stop at the grocery store just to get the basics. I needed to get in and out. So I needed chicken, eggs, vodka, but then I realized I need a razor. And I find myself in front of this sea of razors, totally paralyzed. Do I need 1 blade and a pivot head, 2 blades and a moisture strip? Do I need 3 blades and a titanium base? I don't know. It's too much. So after 10 minutes, I leave my cart and I walk my 2 hairy legs right out of the store. And today, much to the urging of everyone I know, I signed up for Dollar Shave Club, where I now get my razors delivered to my doorstep like clockwork every month. Here's the thing. I interviewed Mike Dubin for my podcast and I asked him, hey, how did you come up with this idea? As you guys probably recall, when he started this business, he was going up against these giants of industry. And he said, here's the thing, Tamara. I was listening to my friends all being frustrated about how hard it is to buy a razor. He said, it shouldn't be that hard. He said, I just kept asking myself, how can I do this differently? How can I do this differently? He said, if I were a customer, how would I want this done? And that's how we came up with Dollar Shave Club, which is a subscription model. And I think, by the way, there's another side benefit or a side lesson in this story, which is he didn't look in his own world for solutions. He looked outside for solutions. He looked in different industries. And I think you have an incredible opportunity with Cultivate advisors. You do this with your advisor all the time, right? You mastermind, you brainstorm, you go wide and then bring it back to your business. Do it more with them and do it with your teams as well. All Mike Dubin did was ask some different questions. So here's another one I want you to take a screenshot of. This is the 6 disruptive questions to get to innovative answers. I want you to use these, take them, use them yourself with your team. I think you'll find that when you ask different questions, you'll get to different solutions. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Make sure you have a screenshot of this. So give me a yes. Give me 1 or 2 yes. Okay, wanna make sure you got it. Awesome. Okay. Here's the last tool I wanna give you before we kind of summarize. Here's the thing. Every owner, every business has a life cycle curve, right? So we go up, we accelerate, we have success, but then ultimately we hit a shift, a decline, a cliff. Some of us hit a massive cliff in 2020 and had to readjust. Some of us actually hit a different type of situation where we actually had more demand and more opportunity, but it forces us to think differently. Here's what I want you to think about. To innovate and win, when you've got to pivot, adapt, the key is not to innovate on the how and what of your business, but on the benefit that you provide. That allows us to jump new curves and find new paths to success. Not on the how and what, but on the benefit you provide. Let me give you my favorite example of this. This was an email I got in recently. This is a company called Avid for Adventure. And they used to take kids on camping, hiking, right? It was basically engaging in the outdoors. That's what they did. Well, as you can imagine, that went away. And I talked to the owner of the company. He's, Tamara, if we had innovated off the how and what, we would have, done pods, done some virtual outdoor stuff. He said, we had to think differently to push our business forward. He said, what we realized, and when we talked to customers and did a survey, we found that it wasn't the what and what we did, it was the benefit. We provide kids with an opportunity to learn, be curious about their environment, be engaged, have a passion for what they're doing. He said we took that benefit and we applied it to learning pods, which is going to last for. So they're going back to programs now, but they're keeping learning pods. But again, I'm just going to go back. It's not the how and the what that gets you to new innovative places. It's the benefit you provide. All right, oh my gosh, we have covered so much. I'm kind of glad we have that extra time now. We've covered so much. Here's your action plan. Another great place to take a screenshot. I want you to discover your style. Vince, will you do me a favor and put the link in the chat bar so that I can keep talking? Thank you. So here's the thing. I want to remind you, this link is for you. Cultivate Advisors has invested in you even more by buying you this link. This is for people on this session. So do me a favor. Please don't share it with your teams or other colleagues. If you want to purchase it for them, you can go ahead and talk to me. But this is for you, for being yourself and being here and being open to innovation in a time when we really need it. So discover your everyday style, get alignment on the definition, J-curve, choose the innovative behaviors and reward them, overcome internal resistors to change, ask a disruptive question, and jump the curve. All right, I know it's a whole toolbox of innovation, but I wanted you to have everything you needed.